Okay, hello everybody. What is going on? We are live again today on the Jacob Teacher YouTube channel. If this is your first time on this channel, first of all, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. And if you like what I'm doing, if you like these live lessons, you can really help me out by subscribing to my channel, liking this video, so give it a thumbs up, and share it if you know someone else who could benefit from this video. I'm really excited for today's lesson. If you're joining me in the chat room, I have it open here. Let me know where you're watching from. Introduce yourself, say hello, and as always, let's try and have a great lesson together. Today, we are going to look at 5 English jokes. 5 English jokes. I love jokes, obviously. Who does not like jokes? They're great. They are also very difficult to understand if English is not your first language. Humor, jokes, they are often the last thing to come. The last thing that you'll really understand when learning a new language. A lot of the time, humor, comedy, it's kind of lost in translation. So I think for that reason, if we can understand jokes, if we can try and study them, I think it will be great for you as an English language learner. There's lots to know from jokes. Lanya is joining us again. Hello, Lanya. Thanks for joining. Rodrigo, a pleasure as always to have you here. So thank you both for joining me. Let's dive into it. Let's just start with these jokes. I've got 5 for you here, and again, even if you can't really understand the jokes, I think that you'll still benefit a lot from this lesson. There are some really great language points that I'm going to cover. And as always, I have lots of questions for you tonight, so lots of participation would be great. And yeah, let's start. 5 jokes in English. The first joke has to do with Cinderella. So what I did for this lesson is I have the joke, part of the joke in green, and then the punchline. What we call a punchline in English is the part of the joke that makes us laugh. So the punchline is a punchline is in every joke, and it makes us laugh. It's the part of the joke that is the really funny part that kind of triggers laughter. Okay, so the question: why did Cinderella get kicked off the soccer team? Why did Cinderella get kicked off the soccer team? We have this great phrasal verb here, kick off. So to kick someone off of something means to force someone to leave. So in this sentence, imagine that Cinderella is on a soccer team. She's part of a soccer team, and she gets kicked off, presumably by her coach or someone who is in charge of the team. So why did Cinderella get kicked off the soccer team? Another great way, another similar phrasal verb is kick out. So if you're kicked out of somewhere, then you're forced to leave. You're asked to leave by someone else. The answer: because she kept running from the ball. Because she kept running from the ball. Again, if you don't understand why this is funny, don't worry. I'll try to explain it. I think it will make sense to you in a bit. Oh, sorry. Cinderella get kicked off the soccer team. Okay. I messed up my order here. Let me go back and explain that, why that's funny. So Cinderella kicked off the soccer team. Remember, kicked off is to be asked to leave somewhere. For example, if you're on a bus and you're making a lot of noise, you're doing really bad things, you're being really annoying, the driver can kick you off the bus. It's a very common phrasal verb in English. it's really important to know because we use it a lot. So kicked off of the bus. And again, you can also be kicked out of a place. It's the same thing. So for example, actually one time when I was younger, I was at a casino with my friends, and we were arguing about a ruling that had been made, and they kicked us out of the casino. They asked us to leave. So kicked out, kicked off, the same thing. So what's funny about this joke? Why did Cinderella get kicked off the soccer team? Because she kept running from the ball. The joke has to do with the word ball. So a ball here, when we think of a soccer ball, it's a ball, of course, right? The thing that they use to play soccer. That's a soccer ball. A ball can also mean a formal dance party. They're not very common anymore, but in the story Cinderella and in the old days, people used to have balls. They would dress up in really fancy clothes and they would go to the ball. They would dance. It was like going to a club nowadays. It's kind of similar in the past. So the joke is, imagine Cinderella on a soccer team. She's running away from the soccer ball. Of course, in the story, Cinderella, she runs away from the ball, from the dance party. So they're using the word ball here in two different ways, and in a way that plays with the language and makes us laugh. Because you can imagine in soccer, if someone is running away from the ball, it doesn't really work. In soccer, you want to run towards the ball. Cinderella was running away from the ball. So I have a question for you about this phrasal verb kicked off and kicked out. Have you been kicked off of or kicked out of anything before? So kicked off or kicked out of anything. We use kicked out when we are talking about a place. So maybe a bar, a movie theater, you can be kicked out of those. Kicked off, talking about a thing that you are in. So you can be kicked off a bus, kicked off an airplane, kicked off a soccer team, like this. Tell me about a time when you were kicked off or kicked out of anything in the chat room. I'll try and correct your sentences as always, and try and use kicked off and kicked out in your answer. Let me just check back on the room. Katie says, hello, Jacob teacher. Thanks for the notification, and hello, everybody. Katie, hello. Thank you for joining me. Alex is saying hello from Ukraine. Joe is saying hi from Turkey. It's really cool. I'm still blown away by the fact that I get to talk to all of you, and you're all in different parts of the world. I'm over here in Korea. It's still very cool to me. So hello to all of you from all around the world. This is really awesome. Thank you for joining me. Tell me about a time you got kicked out of something or kicked off of something. Try and use that phrasal verb in a sentence. Okay, Lanya says, I have never been kicked out from somewhere. Okay, Lanya, great work. It's usually when we're kicked out of a place, usually it's not all the time, but very often because we or whoever is being kicked out has done something bad. They were being rude. They were doing something that was against the rules, maybe. So a lot of the time when we use kicked out or kicked off, that is what is happening. He was kicked off of high school, off the high school. Okay, so Katie, he was kicked off the high school. So this is actually interesting. Katie is using kicked off here. Now, what your sentence kind of means, or what it means to me, is that there's a person on the high school ground, on the area, and then someone kicks them off. If you want to talk about a student who's in high school, and you would use kicked out. So he was kicked out of high school means that he was in school. Oh, that was my board just fell over there. I need to use that later. He was in high school. He was a student, and then maybe he had really bad grades, whatever. He was kicked out. So great work, Katie. Great work, Lanya. Thanks for the sentences. Kicked out the rubbish to the bin. Great sentence, Katie. Jojo says, I'm from Iraq but living in Turkey to study a PhD. Good for you, Jojo. Tell me what you're studying. That sounds really exciting. Great for you. Okay, let's keep going with these jokes. I have lots of more questions for you, so don't worry. Let me just switch screens. Okay, good. So, next joke. I'm really starting to hate these stupid Russian dolls. I'm really starting to hate these stupid Russian dolls. They are so full of themselves. They're so full of themselves. Okay, so a very important English phrase here. To be full of one's self. To be full of one's self. This means to be really confident with oneself, but not just confident, too confident. Some people are too confident. They're too cocky. That's a really great English word. Cocky. It means too confident, like they're showing off. And it's often when we use the word, or when we use this phrase, full of oneself, it means that it's not really a good thing. Their confidence is too much, and it doesn't really make everyone else feel good. So, for example, you could say, my boss is so full of himself. My boss is so full of himself. Imagine that you're at your work, your boss is way too confident. He says things that try and show off, and no one really likes how cocky and how confident he pretends to be. You could also say, oh, I think she's funny, but she's also a little full of herself. And again, this just means cocky, a little too confident. When you kind of think you're better than everyone else. And it's not a good thing to say this. So to be full of one's self. So what is this joke then? Well, we have to look at the word full. So that when the word full, when you have something, it means there's no space anymore to put anything in. For example, when you're hungry, after you eat a lot of food, when you eat a lot of food, you're full. There's no room in your stomach anymore for food. So this joke is kind of playing with that word full. Full of oneself. Imagine that this is you, and you're just so confident that your confidence is in here, and it's overflowing. You're too confident. So there's no space for confidence anymore, to be full of oneself. And these dolls, of course, are literally full of other dolls. If you don't know, these Russian dolls, they open up. They open up, and each doll fits inside of another doll. So they're full of other dolls. So it's a play on words here. I'm really starting to hate these stupid Russian dolls. Oh, I'm really starting to hate them. They're so full of themselves. It's as if he's saying, they're so cocky, they're so confident. I can't stand them. I don't like them because they're full of themselves. So, my question for you, who is someone famous? Oh, I made a mistake with this question. Who is someone famous? Okay, no. Who is someone famous who is full of himself or herself? Who is someone famous who is full of himself or herself? I'm sure we can think of many people. There are many celebrities who are full of themselves, you could say. Tell me one person who is famous who's full of himself or herself. Many people would say that Donald Trump, for example, is full of himself. He's too confident, he's too cocky. Let's see. Jojo is studying computer engineering. Jojo, that is very awesome, very difficult, I think. That's too difficult for me. Katie says, so this guy was kicked out of high school because it was a punishment for him. That's right, Katie. So usually if you're kicked out of high school, it's a punishment. You're kicked out because you did something bad. World Cup games will kick off in the afternoon. Great, Alex, that is a different way of using the phrasal verb kick off. As we know in English, phrasal verbs, just words in general, can have many different meanings, and you're using kick off in a different way here. Kick off in this sense means to begin. So that sentence essentially means World Cup games will start in the afternoon. But a perfect sentence, really good, different than the meaning we're studying. If someone is very lively, we can say she is full of beans. Full of beans. If someone is very lively. Yes, that is an expression that I don't use very often. But yeah, full of beans means lively. Exactly. So you can say full of beans. Again, I don't really use that often. I don't hear it used very often. It's one of those idioms that's a little rare, but yeah, you could use that. Sam says, hi from India. Sam, hello. Thank you for joining me today. And why don't you guys try and use the phrase full of oneself in the chat room. Good. Katie has a great sentence. Yes, empty-headed people can be full of themselves. So you're using some very complex words there. Empty-headed people. Imagine that. That's a good phrase. Empty-headed, so nothing inside the head. People can be full of themselves. And yes, I agree. Rodrigo, my brother always says to me, I'm full of myself, but I'm just more talkative than him. Perfect sentence, Rodrigo. I just changed one thing to make it more natural. You could say, to be honest, you can say that and it would be totally fine. You could say, my brother always tells me I'm full of myself, but I'm just more talkative than him. That would sound a little bit more natural in spoken English. My brother always, well, maybe your brother is just teasing you. It's all maybe brotherly love. I just saw my brother last weekend and we were making fun of each other in a friendly way a lot too. So it's fun to do that with brothers. Let's keep going here. Great sentences, everyone. Trump is so full of himself, says Alex. Yes, I think he is quite full of himself too. Great work. Keep up these sentences. Really good job. Okay, let's keep going. So that was the second joke. Now, I think this one should be a little easier to understand. Why are there fences around a graveyard? Why are there fences around a graveyard? So you have a graveyard where you bury people who are dead, a graveyard. Why are there fences around a graveyard? The answer, because so many people are dying to get in. Because so many people are dying to get in. Now, dying to do something means essentially to really want to do something. If you're dying to do something, it means that you really want to do that one thing. I'm dying to eat ice cream means I really want to eat ice cream. I'm dying to go to Paris this summer means I really want to go to Paris this summer. It's quite a common English expression. It's good to know. You'll hear it very often. And it means I really, really want to do this one thing. I'm dying to do it. Of course, it has the word die. And to die means to not live anymore, right? To die. So that's where the joke is here. A graveyard, of course, is where people go when they are dead. They are buried underground in a graveyard. So there are fences because people are dying to get in. People really want to go to the graveyard, so they have to build fences. So the joke is with the word dying here. In the chat section, why don't you tell me something that you are dying to do? Try and use this expression. What is something that you are dying to do? Something that you are dying to do. I am dying to do some more traveling. What else am I dying to do? Traveling is the main thing, really. I'm dying to do some more traveling. We have another comment from Alex. North Korean leaders are so full of themselves. North Korean leaders are so full of themselves. Yes, I mean, I don't really know any North Korean leaders except for Kim Jong-un. That's a very complicated situation, but yes, some of them, they seem very full of themselves and confident. I agree with you, too confident. So, yes, it's not good to be full of yourself. Confidence is good. Being confident is good. Being too confident where you think you're better than everyone else, being full of yourself is not good, I don't think. Sam says, I'm dying to improve my English. And Lanya says, I'm not sure what fences mean. Lanya, a fence is just a structure that you put up to keep people out. So around a house, you often have fences, right? When you build a house, you kind of mark off your territory with a fence. I hope that helps explain it. Honestly, if you're a little confused, I'd recommend going into google.com, type in the word fence, and find a picture, and you'll see what it is. Okay, Diego says, I'm dying for a beer. Great, Diego. Well, I hope you get your beer, my friend. Yes, sometimes I'm dying for a beer too. Katie says, it is a mistake. I can't join anymore. Mistake is... I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you mean anymore, Katie. I don't know exactly what you mean. I'm sorry if you're having trouble with the stream. Rodrigo says, I'm dying to spend all my day at home because it's raining outside. Okay, Rodrigo. Yeah, when it's raining outside, I like to stay inside too. You could say, I'm dying to spend today at home, or all of today. All of my day would work too. At home because it's raining outside. Great sentence. Jojo says, I'm dying to complete my study successfully. So Jojo, I think you're talking about your studies at your PhD. So you could say, I'm dying to complete my degree successfully, my PhD successfully. That would probably be the most natural way to say that. You could also say, my studies. Okay, so let's keep going. We have two more jokes. This next one, I think, is a little complicated, but again, it's a really useful English phrase if you can understand it. So, I think I want a job cleaning mirrors. I think I want a job cleaning mirrors. So a job, something that you do for work. Cleaning mirrors. This is a mirror in the picture. It's something I could really see myself doing, okay? It's something I could really see myself doing. Why is that funny? It's something I could really see myself doing. Well, we need to look at the phrase, could see myself doing. So it's actually a very common phrase in English, really important to know. We say, I could see someone doing something. I could see someone doing something. So, for example, I could see you wearing that shirt. I could see myself quitting my job in the next 6 months. And it's kind of saying it wouldn't be a surprise. It's like saying, I could imagine that situation happening. It's not real right now. I could see you wearing that shirt. You're not wearing the shirt right now, but I could imagine it. I could imagine in my head, and it would look good. That's what it means. I could see you wearing that shirt. I could see myself quitting my job in the next 6 months. So right now, I'm working at my job. Right now, I'm really working at my job. But I could imagine in the next 6 months that I would quit my job, that I won't be at my job anymore. So it's when you could see someone doing something. If you missed my lesson on the words would versus could, you can watch that in the video. You can watch that on my YouTube channel. Just search for the video. It was very recent, and it could help you if you're confused about the words could and would. So back to this joke. Why is this joke funny? I think I want a job cleaning mirrors. It's something I could really see myself doing. So I could see, remember how I explained it. I think I want a job cleaning mirrors. So right now, I don't have a job cleaning mirrors, but I think I want a job cleaning mirrors. I could see myself having a job. I could imagine myself having a job. And of course, a mirror is something that you can see yourself doing. A mirror is something that in which you can see yourself. So he's playing with this meaning here. I could see myself doing it. Oh, it suits me. I could imagine myself doing it. And I literally could see myself doing it, cleaning a mirror. If you're cleaning a mirror, you can see in the mirror yourself cleaning the mirror. So let's keep going. What is something that you aren't doing right now that you could see yourself doing in the future? What is something that you aren't doing right now? Right now, you're not doing it, but you could see yourself doing it in the future. You could imagine it. You can think about it. For example, right now, I'm living in Korea. Right now, I'm living in Korea. I could see myself living in Russia one day. I could see myself living in Russia one day. Or I could see myself living in Japan one day. I could see myself traveling to Paris soon. I could see myself doing it. I can imagine it as a possibility. So what is one thing that you could see yourself doing? Tell me in the comment section. I tried again, and for the time being, I could join you. Okay, Katie, so I think Katie is having some difficulty with the stream, but hopefully that works okay. Jacob, does could represent past action? Sam, I'd recommend going back to my video on could versus would, and we talk about all of that there. I did that last week. Sam says, I could see myself teaching English for non-native speakers. Very good, Sam. Perfect sentence. We would use the preposition to there. I could see myself teaching English to non-native speakers. And I could see you doing that too, because your English, at least your English writing, is very good. It's excellent. So great job, and I hope that if you want to teach English to non-native speakers, that's something that you can do. I'm dying to know English accent, says Alex. So Alex is dying to know, I think, a British accent, or just English in general, maybe. if you're talking about British accents, I really love British accents too, and I want to learn how to do one properly. I've always practiced, but it's quite hard. Sadowat, welcome my friend. He says, I could see myself traveling around the world with my girlfriend. Great sentence, really perfect. And I could see myself doing that too. So that's great. Thank you for the sentence. I think you all seem to understand the sentence, so that's great. Let's keep going. This lesson is going longer than I thought it would, as they always do. Last one. Okay. What do you call a belt made of watches? What do you call a belt made of watches? So a belt, of course, is the thing that we have around our waist here, a belt, and to keep our pants up, and made of watches. So imagine a belt that's made of watches. You could say a waste of time. A waste of time. So why is this word funny? Why is this joke funny? Well, let me grab my board here and I will show you. Okay, 1 second. My pen and my board, they fell before. Oh, where did they go? Oh, just 1 second. Okay, so I've got my board here. Now what's funny about this joke is it's talking about waste, right? So waste. Here we go. Okay, waste. So we have the word waist, right? And this is a body part, our waist. Your waist is right around here. This is your waist. It's also the joke, why this is funny, is it's making reference to a different word that sounds the exact same, but is spelled differently. Waist, right? So the word waist, the body part, and then there's this word, waste, which means many different things, but one thing that it means is when you use something carelessly with no purpose. When you use something, let's say if I had this water and I just poured all of it out, you could say, I wasted the drink. I wasted water. Okay? So a waste of time. Let's look at that again. Another phrase that we use very often is a waste of time. To waste time means to spend your time carelessly, with no purpose. So for example, I often waste time on YouTube, watching YouTube videos. I often waste time playing computer games. That's how people can use that phrase, waste of time, excuse me. So that's why this is funny here. They sound the exact same. A waist, you have your waist, W-A-I-S-T, is your body part, and then a waste of time. So he's changing one word when we're expecting another word. And of course, a belt goes around your waist. So this is what we call a pun in English, and it's used when we're playing with words in this way. It's used to make us laugh, for humor's sake. So last question for the day. What is your favorite way to waste time? What is your favorite way to waste time? My favorite way to waste time is probably watching YouTube videos. I often waste time. I use my time carelessly with no purpose, and I spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos. It's a waste of time. That phrase, waste of time, is a very, very common English phrase, so it's really good to know. How do you waste your time? What is your favorite way to waste your time? Let me know in the comment section. Yes, waste and waste are homophones. Yes, exactly, Katie, very good. I like very much homophone words. They help my vocabulary. Great. Well, I'm glad that you understand that, Katie. I'm glad they help you. And I assume you got the joke then. That's great if you did. A belt made of watches equals a waste of time. Good. I see waste and waste. There you go. Yes, okay, great. I think you are understanding this joke. Rodrigo previously said, I can't see myself start working as a salesperson. Okay, Rodrigo, I can't see myself start working as a salesperson. You could say, I can't see myself working in sales or working as a salesperson. You don't need that word start in there. If you got rid of start, it would sound perfect, much more natural. Okay. Sadawat says, no, watching YouTube is helpful. So that's a good point, Sadawat. A lot of the times, the videos I watch on YouTube, they help me. So they're not a waste of time in that sense. Sometimes when I'm spending a lot of time and I'm watching videos that, who knows, I'm watching videos of maybe cute animals rolling around. When it gets to that point, when it's been a long time, it doesn't happen very often. I'm quite busy these days. But sometimes when it gets to that point, it's a waste of time, I'm afraid. Rodrigo says, if it depends on me, my girlfriend and I would waste our time on Netflix today. Great. Rodrigo, I understand you completely. Here's a great phrase that you could use instead of it depends on me. Here's a natural phrase. You could say, if it was up to me. If it was up to me. My girlfriend and I would waste our time watching Netflix today. It sounds quite poetic. That's very nice, actually. I really like that sentence. If you switch out if it depends on me with if it were up to me, that would be great. You could also say, if it were my decision. If it were my decision. Katie says, my favorite way to waste time, Katie, just remember, is to listen to good live lessons as yours. Thank you so much. I'm flattered for the compliment. I'm glad you enjoy my lessons. Sadawat says, I waste my time in the traffic in Bangkok. Sadawat, I think much of the time I go live, you're sitting in traffic, unfortunately. So I hope you get through the traffic quickly. And so you don't have to waste time in traffic. Great. Well, thank you all so much. That is everything that I had for you today. I really, to be honest, I had a great time on my trip. As some of you know, I was away for the last week. I had a really good time, but I actually missed you guys quite a bit. So I'm really happy to be back. I'm really happy to be doing these live lessons. And thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and if you liked my video, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like it, and it lets YouTube know that you like it, so that I can grow this channel, basically. Okay, so that is all that I have for you today. I will be back here on my channel, on my YouTube channel, this Friday. I don't know what I'm going to teach yet. I'll think of something. If you have any requests, if you'd like me to talk about something, I can't promise that I will, but I will try. I'll try, and I want to talk about things that you want to learn. So I'm always happy to take recommendations and to try and teach things that you find interesting. Okay, so thank you so much. I'll see you again on Friday. Have a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. See you guys later.